I? At 21 years old, Morris Markey did not know how he meant to finish that sentence. His purpose was clear: to win the passionate admiration of the girl standing next to him in the crush of people who had gathered in the kitchen. He had come to this party to fall in love, and this girl with shining blonde hair that swished alluringly over her trim jaw seemed a strong possibility. She had smiled when he suggested a trip to the North Pole might be a more efficient way to procure ice, then shared her concern that the gin came from the host's own bathtub. She knew the host. His habits were unsanitary. Markey was about to say he hoped the fellow's recipe called for more juniper oil and less glycerin, because it was all a question of balance, when another man popped up to ask the girl, "Say, weren't you at Bunny's last Tuesday?" The girl said she hadn't been at Bunny's, and the other fellow said that was too bad. She missed a good time. Markey hadn't been at Bunny's either. He didn't even know who Bunny was. The interloper was the quick, buzzy type. He made his interest clear right up front. Markey could see the girl didn't mind that. He was about to regain the advantage with the story of how in his first month as a reporter he had been stabbed by a drunken lawyer in Atlanta, the punchline being that the next reporter had been shot. But before he could, the other fellow announced that he'd nearly had a story published in the Smart Set. Markey was about to say, "I believe in English. Nearly published means rejected." But then the girl said, "What a shame." And there was nothing for it but to ask what the story was about and let the little blowhard have his say. In theory, the three of them were conversing, but the blowhard had the girl's full attention, while Markey got the occasional glance that he understood to mean, "Oh, are you still here?" Then, just as he offered his, the girl clapped a hand to her collarbone and laughed. Mr. Nearly Published had said something funny. Someone came through, drink held high, forcing them all to make way. When they resumed their places, the trio had become a duo. Leaving them to it, Markey shouldered his way out of the crowded kitchen to join the throng in the living room. It seemed to Markey he had been to this party before. This one was on Perry Street, but it was the same crowd, the same gin, and the same loud, impenetrable conversation as the party last week at Sheridan Square and the one on Patchen Place the week before that. They all took place in squat brick townhouses below 11th Street. At every gathering, he wandered through rooms packed with people locked in intense debate or exploding in shared mirth. Clearly, at some point, there had been a wonderful party attended by the entire world, and he had missed it. Now they were all tremendous friends, and he was still introducing himself with a smile and a clammy handshake. In vain, he looked for the people who brought him. He had tagged along with Eddie and Dottie Parker. Markey had first crossed paths with Eddie in France, where they liked to say Markey loaded the ambulance and Eddie drove it, hopefully arriving at the hospital with the same number of corpses.